In the middle of a city that never pauses, where cars honk, lights flash, and people rush from one block to the next, the decision to slow down can feel almost rebellious. Yet, when you pick up a medium-format camera, slowing down becomes part of the process. It isn't about snapping away and filling memory cards with hundreds of frames. Instead, it's about pausing, looking, and creating images that breathe with intention. That was the experience of working with the Hasselblad X-D10C camera and the 907X paired with the CFE10C digital back-to-medium format systems that push you to see urban spaces in a completely different light. At first glance, these cameras might seem overkill for the city. After all, medium format has long been associated with studio portraits, landscapes in vast open spaces, or fine art photography where detail and tonal precision are paramount. Cities, on the other hand, move quickly. Life is fleeting. You might think a faster, smaller camera is more practical for keeping up with the energy of the streets. But here's the surprising part: the city offers more than speed. It offers texture, contrast, and stories layered within every corner, and that's where medium format shines. Shooting with these cameras transforms chaotic urban environments into something almost poetic. The first thing you notice is the color. There's a richness to the files that makes you want to keep photographing. The tones don't just reproduce what's in front of you, they interpret it in a way that feels inviting and beautiful. On busy streets with harsh lighting and signage competing for attention, the output has a soothing balance. Even when highlights and shadows are at odds with one another, the cameras manage to retain information across the spectrum, producing images that feel carefully graded straight out of the camera. It's not just about accuracy. It's about character, about giving each frame a distinct mood that digital images often struggle to carry without post-processing. Detail is another revelation. 100 megapixels is not just a number on paper. It's an experience when you start exploring the files. Every brick on a facade, every reflection in a window pane, every subtle gradient of shadow across concrete, all of it comes through with astonishing clarity. If you've ever found yourself lost in the complexity of a city, wanting to capture not just the big picture but the minute intricacies that tell its real story, these sensors deliver in a way smaller systems can't quite match. You zoom into a frame and it feels like discovering a new photo inside the one you already shot. That ability to recompose after the fact opens creative doors. One wide shot might become 5 or 6 completely different compositions: an architectural study, a portrait crop, or even a tight detail for social media, all without sacrificing resolution. Dynamic range is equally important in urban settings. Cities are high-contrast environments by nature. Think of neon signs glowing in the night against dark alleyways, or sunlight bursting between skyscrapers and plunging streets below into shadow. These are conditions that can easily overwhelm many sensors. With the Hasselblad systems, both highlights and shadows remain intact, allowing you to tell a fuller story. Instead of silhouettes swallowing detail or highlights blowing out into pure white, you get subtle transitions that make the city feel alive in its complexity. It's almost as though the camera sees the scene more like your eyes do, balancing extremes without flattening them. Lens choices deepen this storytelling further. With a wide angle like a 45mm, the city becomes dramatic and exaggerated, architecture leaning in to pull the viewer into the frame. Lines stretch and converge, making skyscrapers feel impossibly tall. Shift to a 65mm, and suddenly you're in the realm of environmental portraiture. A subject stands centered, but the city still speaks loudly in the background, offering context and narrative without overshadowing the person in front of the lens. Step up to a 90mm or a versatile zoom like the 35 to 100mm, and you start isolating elements of the city, layers of traffic compressed together, candid street portraits captured with discretion, or details abstracted from their surroundings. The city is versatile, and so are these focal lengths, each one changing the story while preserving the same signature rendering of light and color. Then there's night photography, which is where many digital cameras stumble. Cities after dark are magical, but they're also technically challenging. Streetlights, neon signage, headlights, and glowing windows combine into a chaotic dance of color and intensity. Medium format, with the X-D cameras embody stabilization and impressive high ISO performance, handles this atmosphere beautifully. Even handheld shots in low light retain clarity and mood. Long exposures open up new creative possibilities too, capturing light trails from passing cars or transforming illuminated billboards into brushstrokes of color across the frame. Rather than struggling against the night, these cameras embrace it, turning the city into a playground for experimentation. But perhaps the most surprising benefit isn't just about image quality. It's about the way these cameras change how you approach photography. Using the 907X with its waist-level finder, for instance, slows everything down in a way that feels reminiscent of film photography. You're no longer looking through a conventional viewfinder chasing moments as they flash by. Instead, you're composing more carefully, waiting, observing, and making decisions deliberately. That shift in pace alters the way you interact with the city. You notice things you might otherwise miss: the rhythm of pedestrians at a crosswalk, the reflection of clouds sliding across glass towers, the fleeting glow of sunset bouncing between buildings. Shooting becomes less about taking and more about creating. This intentionality is refreshing in a world where digital photography often rewards quantity over quality. Many people fire off dozens of frames in the hope of capturing one good one, a practice often described as spray and pray. Medium format flips that idea on its head. Because every frame feels significant, you take fewer photos, but each one carries more weight. It's a rewarding process that values patience and craft over speed and convenience. In the end, the results aren't just technically superior, they feel more meaningful. Of course, medium format is not for everyone. These cameras are expensive, slower to operate, and bulkier than most mainstream systems. If you thrive on fast-paced street photography where spontaneity and quick reactions are key, they might feel restrictive. But if you're drawn to detail, color, and the art of seeing, they can completely reshape your experience of the city. They encourage you to pause in environments where everything else is racing ahead, to notice subtleties amid chaos, and to elevate ordinary scenes into works of art. The city is a living organism, chaotic, layered, beautiful, and unpredictable. With medium format, you don't just capture its surface, you reveal its depth. You see the grit of brickwork, the shimmer of neon, the quiet interplay of shadow and light. You discover multiple stories hidden within a single frame. And most importantly, you learn to slow down and connect with your environment in a way that feels both meditative and rewarding. It's not about keeping up with the speed of the streets, but about appreciating them for what they are: complex, beautiful, and endlessly full of detail. So, is medium format worth it for city photography? For those who value craft over convenience, who want to fall in love with the process as much as the results, and who crave images that are as deep and layered as the city itself, the answer is yes. It won't be for everyone, but for the right photographer, it can be transformative. In a world where everything seems designed to move faster, medium format offers something rare: a chance to slow down and really see. And sometimes, that change of pace is exactly what the city deserves.